So I can't lie, it's been a while since I posted, and I've got many reasons for that. But today, it is my reaction to Clash in Paris. Last night, Clash in Paris went down. Many good matches, some very, very good matches actually, and an amazing crowd. But we've got to enjoy this video. It's going to be nice and to record. Always remember, smash the like and subscribe button to the Flipper channel, and let's get into this one. So before we get into this match, I just want to quickly clear up why I've been gone for nearly a week now. The reason why is because my Wi-Fi's been gone. I've had no Wi-Fi, no connection to my console, no connection to my PC. Yes, so I've basically not been able to upload anything because I didn't have anything pre-recorded, as it was just out of nowhere. My Wi-Fi was just stank, basically, and gone. So I had nothing pre-recorded, and I was in a panic mode, really, because I was prepared nothing, and I was in a situation where I couldn't post for a week, and sadly, that's how it went. But I am back now, and the Wi-Fi is going to get properly sorted out now. It's been tested again and everything, and I'm going to get a new Wi-Fi router, so, main thing. But Roman Reigns vs Bronson Reed. This match was a very good match to kick off the show, you know, when both men walked out. The crowd was electric, mainly for Roman Reigns, where he was wearing a black hula falla, and obviously the famous red hula falla. It was actually a very good match, you know. They made Bronson Reed look a very good talent, obviously with Roman getting older now, and him being such a big superstar in the WWE. With him making superstars look bigger, it elevates their level, you know. Roman Reigns did go on to win the match, which was very expected, you know. They weren't going to have Reigns lose to Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is still a developing character, and if you look at it, he's still quite young, you know. He looks like quite a big guy, but he's still quite young and everything, and I think it was right for him to lose this, you know, because then it builds up for later down the line for Roman Reigns as Bron Breakker, and then eventually Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for possibly the World Heavyweight Championship. But yes, Reigns ended Bronson Reed off with only one spear, to be fair. They're just trying to make finishers look more dominant these days, not hit as many finishers, not have a finisher fest, basically. One finisher can kill it off you, really. And Reigns won, which is the main thing, you know. The crowd was up for him, just chanting Roman Reigns, and obviously OTC the whole match. It was just, the crowd was immense. France is always known for that. After the match, though, while Reigns was celebrating, throwing the shoes he had won back from Bronson Reed into the crowd because he's so rich, they don't even need him anymore. Bron Breakker speared him through a table, and then a beatdown happened. After 3 tsunamis, 2 spears, finally, main event Jey Uso came to sacrifice for his cousin. You know, he had a match in the main event later that night, but he came out to try and help his cousin, but Bron Breakker had the upper hand. Another spear to Jey Uso put him down, and another tsunami to Roman Reigns made him go stretcher off and put Reigns out for action for a while, basically. But yes, Reigns is probably going to be out for a while, you know. He's going to film Street Fighter, so Reigns probably won't be back till mid-October now, maybe early October. I think he'll be back for Crown Jewel to face Bron Breakker in just the main event or whatever, you know. His thing's done with Bronson Reed now. He's beaten him. He can move on. They got to make Bron Breakker look a big talent. I could see Bron Breakker beating him first time round, but we'll have to see. But Roman Reigns defeats Bronson Reed. Next up was the Street Profits versus the White Six for the WWE Tag Team titles on SmackDown. And this match was actually a decent match, you know. It weren't too bad. There were some very good spots with the likes of Montez Ford jumping over the corner. Angelo Dawkins hitting a couple of finishers. The White Six always looking decent. Obviously, Uncle Howdy and Nikki Cross getting involved in the match. Same goes for Eric Rowan as well. But we saw the glimpse of a heel Angelo Dawkins in the future, we know. We saw a lot of arguments between the Street Profits throughout the match with B-Fab trying to break them up. But it shows that possibly down the line, we could be getting a heel turn for Angelo Dawkins. Because I think everybody's waiting for this Montez Ford single run for over 2 years now, you know. When he first came onto the scene on the main roster, he was such good talent. And after winning a couple of tag titles, Angelo Dawkins in the Street Profits, these fans wanted him to turn face properly. And, you know, just go on a singles run for, like, the US title, really. At the time, the US title was on Monday Night Raw. And when he competed in Elimination Chamber before WrestleMania to determine who will walk into WrestleMania 39 as the United States Champion, Ford was very, very good in that match. And he went down to the final 3 men. Him, Austin Theory, the champion, and Seth freaking Rollins. And he showed his class, you know. But they just kept him in a tag team, which was decent. Obviously, he's now gone on to win the tag team titles once again with Angelo Dawkins, which was only like a 2-month reign, but it was still quite decent, you know. We had a couple of good matches. But overall, the match was good. And obviously, Angelo Dawkins not taking the pin surprised me, to be honest. I was thinking they're going to protect Montez Ford, but no, they had Ford eat the pin, which is surprising. But, you know, maybe Dawkins is going to blame Montez Ford for losing their opportunity to tag team titles, which they worked over 2 matches to get the opportunity at this pay-per-view. And for them to just lose, it's disappointing, you know. But yes, the White Six defeat the Street Profits to retain the tag team titles. Next up was Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And this match, I will be honest here, straight up honest, stunk. This match was terrible. Becky Lynch was not sending any moves when she was slamming her head on the announce table. Just made it look so scripted and everything, just putting her hands down. Her head was nowhere near the table. Nikki Bella, I can't lie, it's one of the worst I've ever seen Nikki Bella. I don't remember watching Nikki Bella in my lifetime, to be honest. She's literally there for the looks. If we're going to be honest here, I do respect women's wrestling. I'll always will. And obviously with women's wrestling developing so much, which is a proud thing, you know, Nikki Bella just ain't caught up with the times. I just think she ain't that good of a wrestler, if I'm going to be honest. She is obviously there for Becky Lynch, you know, that big money match in Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella. Becky Lynch, the new GOAT of women's wrestling, really. And Nikki Bella was there for like a couple of years, you know, winning a couple of Divas titles. You know, she was there like around the time, obviously, Brie Bella. But yeah, this match was awful. There was one spot in the match which really, really disappointed me and just let me down. Nikki Bella was on the second rope and Becky Lynch was dazed getting up. Nikki Bella went for like a drop kick or something and completely missed Lynch. Yep, completely missed Lynch. People made a joke that she was trying to kick John Cena, but they ain't saving it this time round. Yes, it was awful. She literally missed Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch kind of to try and sell it, but it didn't work. And Becky Lynch went on to roll Nikki Bella up straight after that spot to pin her for the 1-2-3 and retain the Women's IC title. But this whole match was 10 minutes long. It went on for a while, to be fair. But it just was disappointing, you know. Like, come on, man. It could be better than that, you know. Like, we could have had something better, something more entertaining. But, yes, Becky Lynch retaining the Women's Intercontinental Championship against Nikki Bella. And moving on to the good old-fashioned Donnybrook match with Rusev versus Sheamus. This match was class. I can't lie. Two great performers just going at it over and over again. And this match was nearly 20 minutes long, you know. It was a long match they went on for. And these two men were fighting it out. Scars, scratches, bruises were caught in this match with so many weapons around. And it was really, really good. Rusev did eventually pick up the win, which actually surprised me, you know. I thought they were going to give Sheamus the win because Sheamus had more of the large crowd reaction, you know, so I'm thinking they're going to go with Sheamus here, you know, to defeat Rusev, end this rivalry. But no, Rusev defeated Sheamus in what you could say is Sheamus' match, you know, like a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. It's like an Irish culture thing, you know. So for Rusev to go over in this match really surprised me, you know. I like the interior on the outside of the match with obviously the Bulgarian flag and the Irish flag, which is quite nice, you know, all the barrels and everything. There was a lot going on, you know. They had a lot of like interior in this match to make it look good and make it feel like it's a different match than just a normal one-on-one. So this match was actually quite good, you know. It kind of stole the show, but it was a very, very good match. It was, some people rated it 5 out of 5 stars, you know. I think that's a stretch. I'd give it 4 stars out of 5. I think it was a very, very good match. I don't think it was 5 stars, to be honest. But it was very, very good. The ending disappointed me a bit. I thought we were going to get a pin. But no, we had Sheamus tap out for only the second time in his 15, maybe even 20-plus year career. I'm tapping out to Rusev. Obviously, I can't remember what it's called now. But basically, the Rusev lock. Like, yeah, he tapped out, which really surprised me. But we got some character development, you know. A lot of the fans were shouting Rusev Day, and Rusev Base was hearing a voice in his head. Randy Orton. I'm joking now. But, yeah, could we see the return of Rusev Day? Maybe when Rusev turns face, eventually down the line. Could we see Rusev Day return? Could they bring back AD in English? I doubt it. But Rusev defeating Sheamus in the good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. And next up was John Cena's final time in Europe. You know, him performing. John Cena versus Logan Paul. Cena picked up the win in which was a 4.5 out of 5 match, you know. It was very, very good, you know. This match really cooked, I can't lie. All respect to Logan Paul, you got to give credit to him, you know. I know a lot of people don't like him for the way he came to the company and the history he's had, you know. But we have to respect, he is such a good wrestler. He could arguably be, right now, top 5 wrestlers in the roster right now. And he made John Cena's match better, you know, with John Cena's final time in France and probably final time in Europe, you know, on this retirement tour with only 8 days remaining. He's not going to show up in Europe once again, let's be honest, because we're coming to the rear end of this retirement tour now. Remember, we've only got 3 months left until he retires in December 13th, Santa's main event in Boston, Massachusetts. But Logan Paul, you know, he made John Cena look good, and him going over as well was very, very good for Cena, you know, like, it made Cena look better. And picking up a big win once again for Cena, you know, him making Logan Paul look good, you know. Logan Paul faced John Cena in what could be his final time in Europe. is a big thing, to still have, because John Cena, we know, he's arguably the greatest of all time in wrestling history. So as you could say, I was John Cena's final opponent in Europe is a big thing, because no one else is ever going to get that name. And for you to be the single name to be John Cena's final opponent in Europe is big, But it was also a very good match. Cena putting out sunset flips, Hurricane Ranas. He was pulling out a lot from his locker. And I'm starting to respect Cena a lot more now. Now, to start his retirement tour, Cena was not there that much. He only had about 5 dates, I'd say, before WrestleMania 41, before winning the Undisputed Championship as a heel. But him come back as a face, and he's putting out a lot more moves, not his basic belt-hitting John Cena. This feels like the real John Cena back, but this is what Cena wasn't even doing 8 years ago, back in like 2017, 2018, The last time I saw Cena pull out Hurricane Runners and Sunset Flips was probably 2015, so 10 years ago. And you think, now, Cena's literally like 48 years old. He's nearly 50 and he's pulling out all these moves. It's a lot of respect to him. But John Cena wins. The last time is now 8 days left of John Cena. And Cena defeats Logan Paul. And the big one of the night, LA Knight, yeah. And main event Jey Uso yeets CM Punk versus Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. This match was very, very good until the end. This match was a very, very good match with 4 very, very good wrestlers. Jey Uso going into this match already strapped up from 2 dirty spears by Bron Breakker. Obviously, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed were ejected from the building, so they could not get involved in this Fatal 4-Way match and help Seth retain. But straight away, we saw a bit of a flashback, We know Jey Uso kicked the living hell out of CM Punk on Raw, and, they're normally known as good friends. So Punk got his revenge. Immediately into the match, CM Punk gave this old-ass super kick. That man could barely get his leg up because he's so old. So he gave Jey Uso a super kick, and Uso was out of the match for a solid 5 minutes after that, which, to be fair, he sold quite well. And Ronda's reaction was just priceless, just him opening his mouth, shocked as anything, because, they're normally going to team up against him. But straight away, Punk going for Uso was surprising. LA Knight just had nothing to do with it. So, Punk and Rollins, like usual, go straight at it, with LA Knight getting between the mix of things, but he ain't really there. He just got hit with a couple of bumps, and he kept going out the ring. It was more just Rollins and Punk, these two men hate each other so much that we really do need to get this one-on-one match for the World Heavyweight Championship properly. We got that 30-second match with a cash-in from Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. But really, we need this pay-per-view main eventing match for the World Heavyweight Championship, because it can bring up the class of the World Heavyweight Championship. It's always been overshadowed by the undisputed title, as it's Cody Rhodes who holds it, the likes of John Cena, Roman Reigns. So it's always overshadowed. But to have 2 big wrestlers going at it, the likes of Seth Rollins and CM Punk, arguably 2 of the biggest faces in the company right now, it makes the title look a lot better, and it gives Raw that signal title that this is the workhorse champion. Because Cody Rhodes recently has not been there. He's nearly been away for a month now due to filming Street Fighter. But this is the workhorse champion. The workhorse championship being the World Heavyweight Championship. If you want to win this title, you've got to be there every single week. And you've got to be defending it regularly, which gives it that elevation. But back to the match. It was a very, very good match, like I said. All 4 men were going very, very good. LA Knight jumping off the top rope, trying to put Seth Rollins for a table, but missed. And he went through the announcer's table from the top rope, taking a dirty, dirty bump. Obviously, CM Punk going through the table on the outside as well, just a table that was set up, because LA Knight getting his revenge from 2 weeks ago, when Punk actually put Knight for a table, and LA Knight did the same thing, but kind of on purpose this time. Uso was in and out of the match, obviously him taking a dirty hit from Bron Breakker earlier tonight for Roman Reigns. It made it tougher for Uso to try and get any momentum. But Rollins was in and out of this match, lurking around, It was more Knight and Punk going at it, really. And Rollins just lurking about and then getting involved and taking advantage. But eventually, that stopped. But I thought there'd be a 4th member, because obviously where Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman, all 3 of them weren't there. It was only Rollins just by himself. And I'm thinking someone's definitely going to come out, like Rollins and shenanigans. This feels like Bloodline, like prime Roman Reigns 2022. There was always something up his sleeve, bringing out a new Samoan every single week. But this time, it was very, very different. Becky Lynch. Yep. We already talked about her. She had a match early night, also against Nikki Bella. But she came out and low-blowed CM Punk. The minute CM Punk was going to pin Seth Rollins and win that World Heavyweight Championship. Finally, getting that proper title reign. But no, Becky Lynch low-blowed CM Punk. And there was a chair. Rollins stomped Punk's head into the chair. Pinned him. 1, 2, 3. Rollins retains the World Heavyweight Championship. Which was a very predictable result. But to pin CM Punk, once again, is surprising. But at the same time, it's not, if you get what I mean. Punk taking another pin from Rollins, with another interference, and Becky Lynch could be joining the Vision, Seth Rollins' group. That's going to feel like the Bloodline eventually. It's just going to make CM Punk go crazy, We saw at SummerSlam he cashed in, and CM Punk so many times now has been costed by Seth Rollins or someone else that is with Seth Rollins. So Punk is going to build this hatred and probably lose his mind and will just go mental at Rollins. We'll just lever into him, which will eventually settle this match. Maybe the Royal Rumble starting next year. Rollins Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. I could see it, And listen, my prediction will still be Reigns Rollins at WrestleMania. Because I still could see CM Punk winning the Rumble and going for Cody Rhodes, his Undisputed Championship, maybe winning it there. But I don't know yet. But Rollins having Lynch help him out was very disappointing for me, The ending was crap. Because all 4 men weren't involved. Uso and Knight were out for a while out of the match. It was just Rollins and Punk going at it. Which storyline-wise makes sense. But I wanted more, But thank you for watching. It has been nice to record. Always remember, smash the like and subscribe button to the Flipper channel. And I'll see you all day faces soon. Goodbye, guys.